He is back after a little bit of adventure. I have been told that you went to Himalayas. After
Yes.
Vipassana, Himalayas.
Everest Base Camp,
Oh, sorry,
no
sorry.
less.
No, Ajay
It's
told me
not
gone to
just
Himalaya.
Himalayas.
Ajay told me went to Himalaya. I thought
No, Everest Base
adventure,
Camp.
adventure.
Yeah.
With oxygen, without oxygen?
Base camp you don't need
Of
oxygen.
course, you don't need oxygen.
Base camp you don't need
Tell
oxygen.
us about that experience, Vikas. I'm intrigued.
Market तो we'll keep on talking. भाई कुछ हो
Yeah,
नहीं रहा है.
exactly.
No, I think it was a very, very good experience. I mean, I like trekking, being close to nature. This was, of course, the high altitude, and so you went all the way up to 5,400 meters. So, and you slowly inclined. So it was almost over about 10, 11 days, which you inclined, and you were in the middle of a different sort of environment. You have, weather varying all the times. You have different altitude, different sort of climbs. So it was a fantastic experience, away from market noise, away from everything else. You don't, your cell phones are not working there, so you don't get access to data. You don't know what markets are doing. So you're by yourself with the nature and just you enjoy. So it was a great experience. Loved it.
How the markets incline up also going to be slow, surely going to make it, but we'll have all sort of weather disturbances and things acting up as well.
And there is no difference if you ask me that, as you rightly said, that you see their weather changing all the time. I think in markets we see mood changing all the time. So I mean, it's in life everything is in some sense has some correlation. You can apply learning from one space to other space. So one thing in the in this climb I learned that even if the climb is hard, there's a term called bistari in Nepalese, which says slowly. So as long as you do slowly, you can sort of climb the steepest slope or climb, which is I think without too much of hassle. So I guess same thing will apply in the markets when things are difficult. Just do slowly, things will be all right.
Because you've been long IT and we've discussed it why. When the opinion changes and when the price is so dramatically different than what your positioning is, does it shake your belief or this is like a bull market correction and we need to look through it?
No, absolutely. See, I always believe that you should always take market price as a feedback mechanism and go back and retest your hypothesis because you always investing is about making a hypothesis and keep kind of retesting when market is giving you different feedback. And one of the things which we did, post recent correction, we connected with all the companies, including recently Infosys and HCL Tech did a detailed analyst meet. And one thing is coming out very clear that so far there's no letting down on the demand environment, which is I think holding on very well. And in fact, they're saying it's no discretionary this time and also deflationary for the clients. They are kind of helping them cut costs and manage costs in a big way. So at least so far, companies are sort of saying that there's a very good robust environment. Regarding attrition, I think with the little bit of crackdown in the startup ecosystem, you've seen earlier that ecosystem was absorbing a lot of talent at a higher cost. That has eased off. So most companies are expecting that in a quarter or two, the attrition pressure should be behind. So I guess sector went through a combination of expected slowdown in US, pressure on attrition, and a lot of other things. And that's the reason I think, and stocks had done very well. So you saw some amount of correction happening. I think it's again most of the stocks are trading at a very reasonable range, anywhere between 20 to 20 times, 25 times PE, depending on which stock you look at. But all of them are guiding on a 14-15% kind of earning growth, which I think is a very robust growth, and especially with the dollar hedged. So and in an environment where rupee is also kind of weakening, uncertain environment, I personally feel that they are good businesses to own. Sometimes they tend to surprise you on the short term, and hence you kind of take that in your stride and stay convinced. So we have not shaken our belief. Of course, in January, February, we had trimmed a little bit our position, but otherwise we have continued to kind of remain invested.
Have you changed your top positions in the IT space?
Not really. I think we continue to remain sort of pretty much same positions. We had done somewhere late last year, but otherwise in this year we haven't changed much. I think we continue to, but we keep evaluating. So it's not that we will not change. We keep evaluating depending on the valuation, things as they evolve. But so far we haven't changed it.
We've got the management of MassTech, Vikas, coming in 15 minutes. What is that one thing as an investor you would like to hear from the management of MassTech? Since it's your portfolio stock, that's why I'm asking you this.
No, I think it's a great company. I think the new leader Hiral, he is a very very mature leader, and I think after recently they did an analyst meet, and they've kind of created a vision which is becoming 3x by 25 or 26, which I think if they end up doing that, it will be a great wealth creator according to me. So far it has done well, and it will sort of, maybe you can ask him again similar routine questions which can give your viewer assurance around the what if the demand environment is non-discretionary or discretionary, if US were to slow down, what could happen on the demand environment or around attrition? Because these are the two big worries of the market. And I think it'll be good for you to get some answers on those for your viewers. We have done our work, we have spoken to them. So far, we haven't got any sort of negative answer.
Okay, so that's as far as you talking to us about IT with a special focus on MassTech. That management will be joining us in 10 to 15 minutes from now. But Vikas, the question we're asking a lot of our guests, it's midway of 2022, exactly that. By the year end, do you think banks can outperform IT?
It could. It could. Again, a lot of things depend on the environment, but I think we are bullish on both banking and IT. But I think having said that, banking last year has not performed so far. It has been an underperformer for a long period of time. And I think a bit of signs of credit growth is happening around. So, and in a slightly inflationary environment, banks tend to do well. So we're quite confident. We are kind of overweight on banking as a sector as well. So I think there's a good probability of banking outperforming. Again, it depends on what period you look at. So, but I guess next 12 to 18 months perspective, if I were to look at, I think banking has a lot more promise.
That's the markets for you. Markets 192. Bank Nifty is up 192 points. Now, what's looking strong today? Hotels. What's looking strong today? Some of the capital goods stocks are making a comeback. What's looking strong today? While consumer discretionary seems to be, making a comeback. India Mart is up, by the way, 1%. IT, we've already told you that, how this space has made a comeback. So, because what we've seen in the first half is the following: a war, spike in inflation, late realization by central bankers that inflation is going to be having an impact on the economy, and a spike in global and local bond yields. What is in store for us in the second half? More of the same or less of the pain?
So the macro uncertainties so far, whatever you spoke, I think are still around. They have not gone away. And at least from India's standpoint of view, if you see, our biggest concern is around the commodity prices and the energy prices, right? Now, nobody has an answer how long this Ukraine crisis will last, and that seems to be adding pressure to everything. And the key answer is really dependent on what kind of, you will see short covering, you will see short kind of rally which we've been seeing last 2-3 days. But the fact that macro environment is anywhere, not close to settling down. I mean, if you are running a business, just think about it. You have no idea about your raw material cost. You have no idea about your, supply chain issue. You have no idea about how the demand will pan out. So it's a very difficult environment to operate in right now. And whatever we are expecting, we should definitely keep our expectation evaluate from that point of view. So anything which next, and all those things will settle down. There's no question that whether it will settle down in 6 months' time, 12 months' time, 3 months' time, I don't think anybody has an answer. The one thing which one kind of can be comfortable that many of these businesses are solid business. India is a solid demand story. All these things will, once the dust settles down, will come back with a big bang. I mean, all the stories which we've spoken, whether it is manufacturing, banking, I mean, the whole India story right now in one of the best phase in next 3 to 5 years perspective. But next 3 to 6 months perspective, one has, honestly speaking, no clarity, and this a lot more data dependent. It looks like that we have kind of held on to this in the middle of last 3 to 6 months of very, very difficult environment well. But if, let's say, Fed were to be very, very aggressive and energy prices were to kind of continue to remain high, elevated and scale up, it will have an impact on the demand as well as sort of margins of most of the companies down the line. So hence, I would say that, it will be a choppy environment. It will be uncertain environment. As the clarity comes in, you will start seeing, I mean, on some of those issues I spoke, you will start seeing things playing out. So one has to be very, very sort of careful. But this vintage of 2022, I think, in my opinion, will be very, very good vintage to own in the portfolio.
Okay. Because at what point in time the market will start revisiting staples, discretionary? Right now, demand is low and inflation is high. But if macros have to improve, these tailwinds, these headwinds will become tailwinds. Is it a good time to, let's say, buy an HUL or a Nestle? Is it a good time to buy a Maruti or a Eicher?
Absolutely. See, if you're like I said that if you are okay putting up with any amount of uncertainty over or some amount of uncertainty over next 3 to 6 months, they are great names. Please understand, especially in some of the high mode consumer players, when the commodity prices go up, some of them get passed on to the customer in a reasonably slow manner. If you see Hindustan Liver margins have expanded over last 12 months. But when the commodity prices go down, companies don't tend to reduce prices very often. In fact, they try to use that for the volume growth and stuff like that. So according to me, some of those companies will or are offering reasonably good value, reasonably good opportunities from a medium term to long term perspective. But we have seen this demand will come back. It cannot remain like this, right? And you are right now facing a bit of a slow environment and uncertain environment. You don't know how the commodity prices are moving. So and best kind of stocks like Hindustan Lever have corrected almost 25% from the peak, almost. So are many. So I think one can definitely look at some of these names, and as the sort of things settle down, I'm sure they will offer reasonably good returns. Both in a 12 to 18 months perspective and even from a longer term perspective.
Okay, Vikas, great to have you on the show. Just wondering what's the next target now that you've already conquered base camp?
No target. I will just keep taking it in stride. I mean, I did not have, this got suddenly planned. So I think things just keep, coming by and you just take it. So no major targets. Just enjoy and have fun.
Absolutely, with you on that. Good speaking with you, Vikas, as
Thank
always.
you very much.
Okay.